Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:36 on this historic Friday morning in the nation's
Yes.
capital. It's O'Connor and Company, and we are waking up ready for a fight. None of this Eeyore Republican moping around. Oh, gosh, look what they've done. What are we going to do? No, we know what we're going to do. We're going to fight. We haven't begun to fight. Coming up at 7:05, Hans von Spakovsky. 8:05, Jonas Spilbor, and then at 8:35, Sean Spicer. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka, who's in a fighting mood right now, too.
I'm punching the air, Larry. I'm punching the air.
Let's turn to our friend Kurt Schlichter. He's a lawyer. He's a columnist at Townhall and an author. And Kurt, we've been having this conversation. You know, do Republicans now listen to their better angels, stand on principles, and say, we're better than this, we're above this? Or is it time to fight fire with fire and actually say, okay, you've crossed that Rubicon, you've created new rules, here, we'll apply the rules. And the good thing is we don't have to invent a crime to go after Democrats in elected office. No. There's real crimes there that are going unprosecuted. Where do you stand on this, Mr. Schlichter?
Oh, my gosh. Let me say, I don't stand with Larry Hogan, and I certainly don't stand between him and a buffet. You know, I mean, somebody called, there are a few of these guys. Of course, Asa Hutchinson came out. Our friend Sean Davis called him a eunuch, which is technically incorrect because you have to be born with testicles to become a eunuch.
Fair. Yeah, we're just trying to be truthful here. Understood.
Look, it's time to sow the seeds, sow the fields with salt. And I think a few of these, even the wussier Republicans, have become based by this. I mean, I don't know. There aren't enough adjectives to express how bad this is. It is really bad. Mm-hmm. The thing is, the real damage is not going to be in the short term. Tomorrow, we're not going to collapse as a democracy. But you look at something like Rome, which, of course, our opponents are not going to do because they're all gender studies majors. It took about 100 years or more of this kind of crap before everything fell apart. So when people say this is extremely dangerous, tomorrow is going to look a lot like today.
But
50 years from now is not going to look a lot like today, and that's the real problem.
It's the boiling frog.
I'll be dead. So it's you young folks who are going to have to deal with that stuff.
Well, so you're talking to me, Kurt. And so, but I think about, or my kids, absolutely. I mean, I think though about the broader system, and frankly, I'm not with Larry Hogan entirely on this, but I also think that as Republicans, we've ceded a lot of grounds to the left. We've ceded the legal system, the public legal defender system, the public prosecution to the left. We've ceded schools to the left. So, it's not surprising then that they're able to use their power in these ways to go after the rest of our society, but in particular, President Trump. I think that we should be going back into those areas, not just trying to, fight fire with fire. That's where I'm coming from. But you think I'm wrong on that?
Well, look, I think a lot of these areas, they are exploiting an America that was. They are living off the corpse of a society that was a high trust society where, district attorneys got this kind of power, and typically didn't use it. We don't have a lot of the checks and balances that we need because for a couple hundred years we didn't have this kind of problem. This was 10 years, 20 years ago. This would be completely inconceivable.
Right.
The media would riot. The voters would never tolerate it. A public officer would never do these things. And that system's falling apart. And the thing is we have a default to normality that they rely on. That is, normal people default to thinking that the system still exists. and that there is no system. A system is a whole bunch of institutions working, doing their own job, and balancing each other out. And you don't have that. You don't have a real media. You don't have a real justice system.
Right.
You don't have a real law enforcement system. Instead, you have institutions captured by these Marxist, I'm going to keep it FCC compliant.
Yes.
Marxist,
Appreciate that.
Folks, and they are pursuing their own individual agendas as opposed to the agenda of the agency. Now, of course, I'm not saying that the institutions were always perfect,
no.
but they at least supported, sort of what the institution's purpose was.
Yeah, and conformed in some way to the Constitution. Kurt Schlichter is our guest. He's a lawyer, columnist at Townhall. We're just in our final minute here. There are sides. You're right. They have those institutions, as Patrice pointed out. They've done the hard work of getting into school boards and getting into prosecutor's office, and they're now wielding that power. But we've also learned that we don't need those institutions necessarily. We don't need the mainstream media. We don't need all these, because there is still power to getting our message out and showing up at the ballot box and actually getting something done. And I wonder if you are in some way encouraged and emboldened by, the Rich Lowrys of the world saying that this was a rigged system, by the donations that have come showering in for the Trump campaign from people who said they've never donated to political causes, but this has done it. Is this a movement now in momentum that will take us to Election Day?
Well, Larry, you know how cheap I am in honor of my Scottish heritage.
Yes, I have plenty of bar bills that prove that.
Exactly. I sent money to Trump yesterday. I'm not going to encourage other people to do something I'm not going to do, but I was that angry. Yeah. The lovely Irina strongly urged me to do so. Look, I saw Never Trumpers. I'm somewhat active on the Twitter machine. Yes. I saw Never Trumper guys going, I got no use for Trump, but today you can't stop me from voting for him.
Yep.
The level of anger.
Yeah.
That's really, look. Fortunately, the only way we can really effectively mobilize our anger is the ballot box. Mm-hmm. Okay, Republicans are not going to gather and riot.
No, that's what they want. That's absolutely what they want. They're trying to bait people into doing something stupid and illegal to change the subject. No, we're going to keep it focused on this. Hey, Colonel Schlichter, we got to leave it there. We're up against it. You know how it is to do real radio, not those,
I know how it is to be up against it.
All right. Thank you, Kurt. Kurt Schlichter, author of The Attack, and we will look forward to your latest column at Townhall, and we'll certainly look forward to your very active feed on the X platform. Thanks, Kurt. Good to talk to you, my friend.
Adios.
If you have a